I forget that just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true. And what I mean by that is there are times, even recently, that somebody will say something to me that has negative connotation to it, and I will become defensive and even sort of have this internal panic because I don't share that belief with them. I don't share the belief that something has to be negative. And it's a practice for me because I have been and have fallen into and have noticed my mind loops of being very negative and fixated on the negative. Even when I'm like hopeful, like as a means to like fix something and make it better, make me feel better, I'll fixate on the negative. And so I've really, really, really been working on that. And then I'm realizing that the part that's sticky for me now is that I'm changing a lot of my mind talk and my mind loops. When I feel that negative part come up, I sort of redirect. I have this redirect process. And so the new layer that I am implementing is I can't control what somebody else is going to say or what somebody else is going to believe. And I wouldn't want to. Like, when I've had things where all I could see was the negative, I had to experience that so I could experience, I don't like being focused on the negative all the time. And so I had the internal motivation to change that. So I, of course, want to extend that grace, I would call it, to other people, that compassion to other people, that they need to have that experience themselves, or not, like whatever, but everybody gets to believe or feel what they believe or feel. So when someone says something negative to me, what I'm working on now is to not be so defensive or to not act like so abrasive, like it's so abrasive to me, because I think the faulty belief now that I'm becoming mindful of and working with is that somebody else's belief doesn't have to alter or shift or change mine. And I don't have to run away from them either. I can stay put, they can stay put, and we can sort of take this trajectory, this kind of parallel trajectory beside each other, maybe even like pressing, that tension, if you press your hands together, that tension of like two forces side by side actually can be very stable. Like, you think in yoga, when you're like bringing all the energy in and pressing it into the center, it can be very centering to have somebody that needs to express that negative while I am expressing or understanding the positive. And I've really come to feel like everything is just two sides of a coin. So everything can be flipped turned, looked at a different way. And I just want to be the sort of person that does not reel back, like, away from somebody else when they express negative. That it's kind of like Cooties, right? Like that game, you know, it's in Despicable Me with Gru when he has Grooties, right? And it's horrifying to have somebody draw back from you, like I don't want to catch what you have. And I think I respond to other people's negativity in that way because it's a defense mechanism, because I'm not strong enough yet in my own belief that things can be positive, because it's a new way for me to go about life and a new lens for me to look on things with. And so I want to be that person. I want to not break stride and just be able to hear another person, just listen. And I'm grateful because I have had thrashing periods of my life, and I'm so grateful for those, because they are this reminder that, like, I really did have to thrash and be negative to get myself to this point. I think it was part of the healing process. And so I want to extend that to other people, allow it, and not feel so threatened by it, and have a certain calm aspect, and really listen to what other people are saying. Because that's the other thing, is that I think I turn off my listening because I think I have to solve this and I can't solve this, or I think this is a really long process. I know how long it took me, years upon years, and this is going to take forever, and I feel like I have to pause my trajectory to be there with somebody, but it's just not true. Like, it's just not true. At my best self, I don't believe that to be true. I know that when I was in that thrashing mindset, I was just dealing with my own stuff. I didn't need other people to do anything. I just needed to express it and get it out and figure some things out. I've come to think of thrashing as the opposite of the coin. If one side is thrashing, the other side is flowing. And I this year I picked the word flow for 2022, and I'm just beginning to learn how to flow and how to do that with other people that may be in more of a thrashing period of their life. It's all part of healing. And I wouldn't even say that one is better than the other. I think my mind wants to say one's better than the other. I certainly am. There's an element of ease now that has come into my life, and happiness that feels better. But I was having intense happiness in those negative periods of time too, simply because I was listening to myself for the first time. So there was a pleasure that came with that internally. It's all part of the process. But I just wanted to think through some of that out loud, because it feels like the next terrain for me is to not judge other people that are being negative, and to not feel like they're gonna give me the negative cooties. And I know there's this talk about boundaries, and I think that is something to think about, boundaries in your life. How much are you letting in somebody else's negativity? Really, for me, it comes back to the Serenity Prayer of like, help me know the things that I can change and the things that I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. I probably really screwed that up, but you get the gist. So I can't make it really any hard and fast boundaries, because for me, those quickly turn into unhealthy places of like walling myself off from other people or judging other people. So it's just kind of on a case-by-case basis. And right now, what I'm really looking at is people in my life that can't match me vibrationally. So we're on this sort of parallel road. We're on the same coin, but they're just on the underside and I'm on the top side, heads and tails. And the rub, the tension is that we're actually on the same coin, and accepting that. And it's a process, it's a journey. I'm healing. I'm starting year 3 of what I've called a 7-year healing journey, and so I'm constantly finding new things that I have to heal in my own life. And really that helps me focus back on myself and that good sort of humility. I've been talking about good humility a lot lately, because I feel like I experienced a lot of guilt-driven humility or shame-induced humility. And this is like the good sort of humility that's like, you feel, my last name is Stewart, my married name is Stewart, so you feel like a good steward. Like, I'm given so many resources, and I just want to be able to use what I'm given to the best of my ability. And it's that sort of humility that's like, instead of pointing out that this other person is being negative and I don't want anything to do with that, what can that tension of, oh yeah, there's always a tail side to everything, how can that make me heal? Recognizing that, instead of ignoring it or running away from it, how can I work with, this is a law of nature. There is always a yin and yang to everything. And so it's not going away. And so how can I use my resources to best work with this instead of against this?